everybody, it's Wednesday night. That means two things. Gizmo and I on my couch, and it's Facebook Live Confessions of a Conveyancer. So thanks for joining in. Thanks for those that are going to be replaying this. So I'm going to be turning the tables a little bit on tonight's live. Tonight's live, it's not just going to be addressed at those people that are buying or selling, but tonight I'm going to be shouting out a little bit of knowledge for those people who are renting. Yes, because when you're buying and selling, we can't forget about the tenants. So this one is for the tenants, and this one is also for the landlords who have investment properties that are ready to sell. So thanks for joining me, Richie and Jacinta. Jacinta, I think you'll find this one really interesting. We're talking about, this one's all about the tenants and what happens with them when their landlord wants to sell the property. All right, so shall we get started? He's very chilled today. So if you find this information interesting, go ahead and share it out. I'm sure there's someone out there that needs to know this information. So let's get into it. So when you're renting a property and you find out that your landlord wants to put the property on the market, for a lot of people as a tenant, that can be really scary. You can feel insecure. You don't know what that means for you. You can be really worried about your privacy. You're worried that people are going to be tramping through your personal areas, and the unknown of what that means for your lease can be really quite a scary time. Oh, Richie, that's great to know you're going through this. So there's going to be some great tips of things you may not know. So you've just found out that your landlord wants to put the property on the market and you're a bit overwhelmed and a bit scary. So what I'm going to do now is break down some of the easy rights and responsibilities that you had so you can feel a little bit more confident going through. Now, first of all, the good news is the tenant's rights really come before everybody else's, okay? So deep breath. You're going to be okay. So before a landlord is allowed to list the property for sale and before anyone can go through the property, they have to give you 14 days notice. So yes, it is their property and of course they are allowed to sell it, but they have to look after your rights. They have to give you that 2 weeks notice. And next bit is something that most people don't tell the tenant. After they've given you the 2 weeks notice, they only have to allow 2 inspections per week. That's it. So if you're a tenant, you only have to agree to 2 inspections per week, and that selling agent has to give you 48 hours notice. So that can make you feel like you've got a little bit more control about people going through your home that you're not aware of. So that's a really good one to know. Now, if you're in a fixed term lease, so what a fixed term lease means is you've signed a lease from a certain date to finish on another certain date, and it's dead set. That's exactly what's happening. That's your rent for the period. The good news is if you're in that type of lease, which is called a fixed term lease, you are completely protected. Yeah? Hey, Bonfield. So what that means is the new landlord has to completely honor that lease. Your rent can't increase. They can't kick you out. They can't change any of the terms of the lease. You don't even have to sign a new lease with the new landlord. So that's really comforting for you. But here is something that many people do not tell you. If you are a tenant in a fixed term lease and you get notice that your landlord is going to sell the property, if they didn't tell you that before you actually signed your lease, you can break your lease with 14 days notice with no penalty. That's right. If you're in a fixed lease, you find out your landlord's going to sell, if you're feeling really uncomfortable about that, you can actually break your lease with 2 weeks notice if they didn't tell you that they were going to sell the property way back before you sold the lease. And that's something that not many people spill the beans on. So that's a little something to have up your sleeve. But the landlord can never break the lease on you if you're in that type of lease. So it's really comforting to know that you'll be protected. Now, after you've agreed to your 2 inspections per week, of course, the property has to be in a good condition. It has to be in a good condition anyway because that's part of your lease. But you don't have to do anything special than have it in your normal, everyday good condition. And if for some reason the landlord wants you to do more, if you agree, you can ask for compensation. Did you know that you can actually ask for compensation to allow the open homes and allow the inspections? Yep. Legally, you're allowed to ask for compensation. They don't have to give it, but legally you're allowed to. And it may be that you're more willing to cooperate if they're going to do more things. You know, there's things there that you can negotiate with the landlord so that you can both feel really comfortable that you're both going to get a result that you're happy with. Now, things get a little bit different if you're in a periodic lease. So what a periodic lease is, you know, when you finished your fixed term lease and you just decide to stay on month to month, that's what we call a periodic lease, or it is just those month to month leases. You don't have as many protection rights in place if that's the type of lease that you have, okay? And what that means is they still have to give you the 14 days notice. You still only have to allow them twice through the property for inspections. But if they do sell the home and the new landlord wants to move in, then they can only give you 30 days notice. That's right, you only get 30 days notice. Now, if you're a landlord out there, here is a little trap that I see happen far too often. It's not unusual to have one real estate agent with the hat as your property manager and one real estate agent from a different firm wearing the hat as your selling real estate agent. Now, if you've forgotten to allow those two communicate, or, you know, make sure that they communicate or you communicate, that 14-day notice period can be forgotten to be given to the tenant. So that is so important. So remember, if you're going to be using a different agency for selling and for property management, you really need to make sure that you don't get caught out with that 14-day notice period. So those things are really important. But the main thing is to think that if you're a tenant, it's not that scary. It can be scary at first. Take a deep breath. There is a lot of protection there for you. If you're a landlord, you need to do your homework. Really do your homework to make sure that you are completing all your responsibilities and rights. Oh, great, Richie. I'm glad that you're getting some good info out of this. Now, here is some amazing advice. Everything that I've told you today and everything that you need to know about being landlord or a tenant, you do not need to pay for any expensive legal advice whatsoever. Everything that you want to know or you need to know is actually for free. Hey Ben, if you jump onto the Fair Trading website, they have amazing fact sheets about all of this information, and they have hotlines as well. So you don't need to pay for expensive legal advice. So if you're feeling a little bit confused or scared about what your rights and responsibilities are when your landlord is selling your house, pick up that phone, it's free, and you get all that information straight away. So that's really good news too. So I just wanted to cover those main points today because they're things that I've seen go wrong many times in rental properties, and more it's just understanding that the tenant has rights before everybody else. We need to respect those rights, but it is still the landlord's property that they're allowed to sell. So it's finding that happy medium while keeping those rights and responsibilities protected. So if you have any specific questions, there's a few of you that have dropped a few comments that are going through anything, drop them now by all means. But last of all, I just wanted to share with you tonight's confession. So tonight's confession is going to relate to my social media post that I put out today that's coming out. And the quote was, "You are never too busy to stop and breathe." So yeah, I know, everyone's heard the one about breathing, how good it is for us to stop and breathe. But I wanted to share with you my experiences. So I am a real, I guess you could say, a go-getter. I don't stop, I'm always go, 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 go. One of the biggest changes I implemented into my everyday routine a few years ago was that before every single client meeting, phone, Zoom, face-to-face, whatever you want. Hi, Amanda. Whatever it is that you have an important meeting or any client meeting that needs to get done, no matter how busy you are, you need to stop and take 3 centering breaths, 3. And I brought this into my everyday routine a few years ago, and it's been a game changer for me. So it's basically you breathe in for 4 breaths, you hold for 4 breaths, and you breathe out. 4 seconds. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and then exhale for 4 seconds. And I do that 3 times. Now, I was really like, I don't have time for that. I've got to get in there, you know, and I would be that person that would run into the next meeting and do this. But it really has changed. So of course we all know the benefits of stopping and breathing, but for me, what it meant was that client had my absolute undivided attention. Every single scenario and problem solving that I had been working on right before that second, that client had my ultimate attention. So if you think that you're too busy to stop and breathe, think about how much you're going to hate if you don't nail that appointment with your client, you don't convert that sale, you don't win that negotiation because you didn't take 2 minutes to stop, clear your mind of everything else and make sure that you're in the perfect headspace to go and get it. So gang, thank you for joining me. And if Amanda, I know you got here a little bit late, so feel free to watch the replay. We were talking about the rights of tenants because it can be really scary when you find out that your landlord is selling your property. So it's just some little hits and tips there. And again, thanks for joining in, guys. If you found some really good information, feel free to share it out. Yeah, I'm such, you know, there's always something that we can all learn from each other. So thank you. Now, Amanda, such a good, yes. The busier you are, the more you need to breathe. And if you have any questions about some of the things that we spoke about tonight with being a landlord, or you're going to be selling a property with a tenant, as I said, shoot me a message. I'm happy to help. Or there is always free advice, of course. Of course, I would help you for free with a question. But there is also free advice, absolutely, on the Fair Trading website. And you don't need to pay for heavy legal advice. Everything is there. You've got it to go. Thank you, Jacinta. I hope you liked Jacinta as a property manager. I hope you enjoyed my my speech on tenants as well, because it's quite an unusual topic. Not many people get out there and talk about it, but you know, tenants have got rights too. So do you. That's Wednesday night. And oh my gosh, I almost forgot. Next Wednesday night, Confessions of a Conveyancer is going to be coming to you from a very exotic location somewhere overseas. So stay tuned. I will be here. Well, not here. I will be on Facebook Live. I will be having a cocktail. I was going to say a bikini, but like, no bikini, but definitely a cocktail. Can't wait to see you. Gizmo's bored with me tonight. I hope you guys weren't. I had a blast. See you later.